see. How do I know which one's streaming? Oh, okay, it's going live. I didn't realize that. Sorry about that. I'm on OBS. I haven't really used it as much. Okay. I don't know if someone's chatting on me or something like that. If you are, I can't see it. But in any case, let's talk about the Mets for a second. Well, not for a second, but more so to the point where like the Mets pretty much suck. Everyone's gonna say the month of May and June. I mean, April and May is where you try to figure out where they should be. They're trying to identify where your team is at and such. But then there is other such thing as the fact that June and July is when you identify the needs at that point because of the trading deadline. But we're already in end of May, June, basically. The Mets are by far not doing anything extraordinary to the point where. Sorry, I'm looking at the stats right now. Not the stats, but as far as the standing is concerned. Sorry, and it's one of those things where, put it this way, the Mets are pretty much like what 4.5 games out of the wild card. I mean, they are pretty lucky to be there in that situation. But reality is it's going to be the Braves, Giants. I mean, the Braves have lost Acuna, but he's not the team. They've got some really good pitchers, so they should be in there. The Giants and Padres. The Giants are clicking right now at this point. They are starting to click at this point. The Mets. I mean, like 22-30. They're like 8 games under 500. I mean, honestly, like I said, there's talk of well, should the Mets trade? Yes, they need to trade. Who are they going to trade? Well, I hate to say this, but you got to trade Alonso because everyone says, "Oh, you got to build around the core." I mean, honestly, we've got no core. We've got no core. There is no core. I don't mean to be a Mets hater. I mean, honestly, as a Mets fan, a diehard for that matter, I want to keep Alonso and let him keep growing. But the problem is like, I don't think he's the right. I don't want to say he's the right fit, but more so, we need the pitchers. We need pitching. We don't have any pitching. If not for pitching, we're going nowhere. And I've said it in prior videos as well too, whether it be on my live or recorded. We need pitchers. We have no pitchers. We need some pitchers. And from this perspective, Alonso, as good as he is, he's not throwing out some outstanding numbers that should be out there. Yeah, if you surround him with some players, but the problem is like he's surrounded by quite a few. He's got McNeil, he's got Lindor. So the question is, and I hate to say this, but like the Mets need to trade him. I hate to say it. Also, Lindor, trade Lindor. Diaz is showing what had happened 2 years ago, and basically to the point where like this is what I was afraid of when he was lights out 2 years ago, and then he got that injury. I mean, he's back to where he was. He reminds me too much of Benitez. I think we got to trade him. We got to build up an actual reliever ourselves, basically, because hiring one or signing one in free agency is great, but I don't think that's going to happen here. And then between Vientos and Batty, I hate to say this, but they're both not producing as much as they should be. Quite honestly, I mean, let's be frank. I mean, with the Mets and Vientos and Batty, they're not throwing outstanding numbers out there. Quite honestly, more so to the point where Batty, you figured he became better defensively than Vientos. He's definitely better defensively than Vientos, but offensively speaking, he's not doing much, and he's not taking taking the opportunities that he needs to. And Navarez, I mean, when he comes back, maybe he's the one we build around. Um, I hate to say this, but McNeil, I think he's done with the Mets this time. I mean, we've had enough patience. I don't think he's to the point where he can also help us out. Marte, I hate to say this, but like he's probably the only bright spot with the team. Quite honestly, we might have to trade him to get some player. Honestly, like I said, start trading off these players for basically some serious prospects. I mean, we need some prospects because we need to rebuild our farm from the ground up again, and we need to rebuild it to the point where, like in 2 to 3 years, we can be just as good. Um, Actually, let me see what the score is actually right now. Um, I can't watch the bloody game, unfortunately. Well, actually, wait, I never tried looking at the game actually. But okay, they're winning 2-0 in the top of the eighth. I don't know if that really helps out in the long term, but I mean, it'll be interesting to see how, since they're playing a doubleheader, how after this game they pan out at that point. Probably come back live again later on today. Anyways, to the point where, like I said, I hate to say this, but even if they beat, let's say they somehow beat the Dodgers, 2 games out of 3 or 3 games out of 4. Sorry, somehow they do that in 3 games out of 4. I think that's just the most little bit misleading because the fact is the Dodgers, they are a little bit of a slump and they have a tendency to take teams for granted. And seeing the way the Mets are, I think they're going to take them for granted. And besides, with the Dodgers, they always wake up in June and July. Um, the Mets, if they could wake up, that would be great. Look, if the Mets can string together at least an 8-game winning streak here, maybe another 10-game winning streak here, then maybe it's a different story. But if they keep losing the way they are, where like they lose one, uh, they barely get swept. Not barely gets barely getting swept, but more so to the point like they only could get 1 game out of the series or 2 games out of the 5-game series. I mean, that doesn't really help out for the Mets in the long term. So yes, this is me basically saying that the Mets should trade their players, their core players. They should be sellers. Try to get back as much pitchers as you possibly can. I hate to say this, but like when the thing is what they did with Scherzer and Verlander, the Mets still have to take up on that payroll. It still eats into that luxury tax, unfortunately. And I'd rather trade these players and making sure that we don't have to pay for anything, unless some other teams are willing to pick up Verlander and or Scherzer's remaining contract that we're picking up. That would be great. Um, Also, the other factor is like with the Knicks. I hate to say this, but like Randall, I mean, the fact is the Knicks have to bring in a superstar, and like talks of like who they could bring in, like, um, actually, I don't know who they can bring in to be quite honest, because I would love for them to bring Devin Booker, or so not Booker, but if possible, Donovan Mitchell, yeah, because Booker, he's probably gonna be a lifer. He wants to stay at Phoenix Suns. I think he's going to come from the perspective of how Kobe was, and he's emulating him. That I think that's one of the people that the Knicks could try to get, but I highly doubt it. Quite honestly, um, looking at any other potentials, I don't know. Everyone's saying, "Oh, Giannis, he might be like unhappy, and then he can come to the Knicks." I highly doubt that's going to happen because by that point, Giannis is going to be a little old. Same thing with Embiid. My fear is OG Anunoby. He might go and sign with the Philadelphia 76ers. Um, you saw what he did with the Raptors. You saw what he did with the Knicks and how he helped them considerably. If he goes to the Sixers, I think that drops us out considerably. And Randall, okay, I'm not saying Randall is bad. Postseason Randall is where we don't want. That's the problem. We've seen postseason Randall. He's never shown up. During the regular season, Randall, hey, that's great. He brings us into those playoffs. But postseason, Can't do much in the series, unfortunately. Any series for that matter. And that's the problem that I'm concerned about. Um, do the Knicks talks of like hey, the Knicks could possibly get Bronny James because there's no way he's going up that high in the draft. It's possible they could bring him, but the question is do they want him? Because we already got a McBride. We're not going to really get much out of Bronny. Honestly, we have the draft capital. Trade him off. Granted, there's not much you can get in this year's draft. Maybe they could find a diamond in the rough, but honestly, trade these draft picks. It's there's no one they can draft at this point that can help them out in the short term or long term for that matter. Unless they lose out on Hartenstein. That's the biggest concern is if they lose out on Hartenstein, then we got issues. Because Mitch Robinson, good as he is, not uh, stable enough to play a full season or in the playoffs for that matter. So I hate to say this, but we might lose Hartenstein, and if we do, we need someone then to come pick him up off the draft. Achua is another possibility as well too, but the problem is Achua as good as he is, he's getting up there and he's more of a role player more than anything else. Um, what else? Actually, you know what? Let me. Yeah, I honestly don't believe the Knicks should make a trade for any other star. Quite honestly, I mean, yeah, there have been talk the Knicks could possibly, potentially get DeRozan, but reality is I think he's a little too old right now at this point. I don't think he's gonna fit with the team. Um, and the question is who do you trade him for? Same thing with Zach LaVine. LaVine is probably gonna stick around anyway. I think he's gonna stick around, similar to Alonzo Ball. Everyone's saying DeRozan, but he's not that superstar. The person, like I said, the two that I think fit the Knicks perfectly are um, essentially not Rich Ross, sorry, Donovan Mitchell and Booker, Devin Booker from the Phoenix Suns. Problem is, we know Devin Booker may or may not come. It all depends. I mean, if the Knicks can give some potential aspects of some trades and all that stuff, and maybe give up McBride. But the problem is you've got Durant, and they know Durant's an aging star, so I don't think they want to keep him, or they'll keep him, but I think they'll want to make sure that they have their franchise player, which is Booker, there permanently as long as they possibly can. Um, yeah, outside of that, I got nothing else to say between those two. Like the Knicks need to. I hate to say, it, but the Knicks. Yeah, I would say trade off Randall, draft picks, and McBride. I'm willing to part with McBride. If the Knicks can sign OG Anunoby, that'd be great, but I have a feeling he's going to sign with the Sixers, sadly. If they do, then the Knicks going to have to use that draft to find someone, another diamond in the rough. Similarly, to the point where um, Hartenstein, if he leaves, again, probably going to have to find someone in the draft at that point as well, too, which most likely it's going to happen. For the Mets, break up the team. There's no purpose. There's no way they're gonna survive. There's nothing they can do at this point. Honestly, I think the Knicks have to. Sorry, the Mets have to trade off. Alonzo is the biggest piece. Diaz, if they can, trade him off as another piece as well too. If possible, trade off Batty and or Vientos, depending on whatever it may be. McNeil probably makes more sense to trade off as well too. What else? Vientos, etc., etc., etc. Anyways, to the point where Nimmo, I think we still want to keep because he still has that hustle. I think if you surround him a little bit more with, a little bit more with more consistent players, I think he comes back up there. I think we're putting too much of a burden on him, and that's the problem. And Lindor, good as he is, or great as he is, I don't think that he's right for the Mets, unfortunately. I think he's more ready to go to another team. Maybe to the Giants. Maybe to the Padres he can't. Maybe to the Giants. Maybe to the Cubs. I don't know whoever it may be. I mean, honestly, we got Acuna coming up. Rahul Acuna, yeah, coming up. In the in their farm system, and he's starting to garner some talks. So let's see how that works out. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts. Leave them in the comment section. I know no one's really chatted. Might have gone live where no one's available to see, but go up and check it out. I mean, not check it out, but please leave a comment in the comment section. I do respond to them when there aren't a response. And of course, if you like my channel, my content, like my videos, Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and of course, always unrehearsed. Until next time.